this video is intended for people who are recording audiobooks, and maybe you've got the recording. I'm not going to talk about how to do that, but you still have to master it for Audible to their technical specs. So I'm going to show you my process that I've simplified down and explain each step and make it a lot clearer than everything the way I had to figure it out not so terribly long ago. My audiobook is selling like more than 10 times better than my print and Kindle these days. So, or one of them, my recently released. So I was excited to get another one going. So I've got them all recorded, all my WAV files, and here I've got one open in Adobe Audition CS6. It's probably not so different from other versions of that. So let me show you my process. First, I'm going to go Alt S. After I get into Adobe Audition, Alt S. And that's my effects, and then I'm going to hit A, which is for the amplitude and compression. And these are where the three tools where I'm going to use. I'm going to do N for normalize, and then I'm going to do Y for compression. Where's that? I guess dynamics processing it's called. And then I'm going to do H and then another N. So those are the ones I'll use. So let's start with N. So this is going to do the normalize process. And what normalizing does is it kind of brings everything up to a certain level. So if you have a really quiet recording and another one that's kind of too loud because you were a little bit farther away from your microphone, or somebody had tweaked your settings or something, this kind of brings them so they're all kind of the same basic volume level. And I think Audible requires that it has to be at least -3. And remember, it starts at 0 and just goes down and down and down. So -3 is louder and -20 is quieter, for example. So I set this at -3.2. It just gives me extra buffer range that I don't have to worry about accidentally just going over that and having to tweak that. So I'll hit OK or just hit enter, and now this recording was a tiny bit quiet, so it probably just increased the volume setting a little bit. And now I'll do the next one, which is the dynamics processor. Alt S, A, and then Y. And then on this one, you'll want to set up your own curve for this, depending on where you go. So let me bring the other edge of my Audition in so you can see what's going on here. So you see my audio starts, around -15, -18, although I have some louder spikes up to almost all the way up to -4. And so what I'm doing is I want to get rid of those spikes. You can't really hear them anyway, and you don't want them, because if you have a spike that's really loud, then everything else has to be quiet. So you want to cut those down. And what this dynamics processing does is, rather than just cut it off, like anything above a certain loudness, it just slices it off. That's the limiter. That's the hard limiter. In this case, we're going to say everything once we get up to this volume, -15.9, kind of arbitrary just based on where my recording levels came out. Now I want to start attenuating that. I want to knock it down, and then once I hit this level, I want to knock it down even steeper. So you can see down here, the first one is everything above -7.84 is getting a 5-to-1. So that's a pretty big knockdown. So the louder sounds, I want to attenuate those even more. And then if you drop down here to anything below the 7.84, so that's the one dot is the 7.84. So, or I guess it's that one right there. But anything from there down to here, I only want to do it's like a 3 ratio. So it's still knocking down that volume, but not as dramatically as the very top, the loudest spots that I want to knock down. And then everything else is just neutral. Everything else, just leave it alone. If it's not that loud, just leave it alone. And so this gives kind of a gentler curve off, dropping those high volumes. And it just seems, even though if you just do a hard limiter, the ear probably can't really hear the difference, but it makes me feel better that this maybe comes out a little bit more natural. So, and you can play it if you want, and then you can click this and play it.
Chapter 52.
That's what it sounds like without
top of
it, etc. Anyway, so I'll apply that, and now that has taken some of those loud spikes and knock them down some, but I still have some big spikes right there, and I want to get rid of those because that messes everything else up. So now I'm going to go Alt S A, and I'm going to go to H, the hard limiter, and I'm just going to chop those off. So I've done the gentle attenuation. Now I'm just going to chop off those tops, and you can see I've set this to chop it off at -7 decibels, so still pretty loud. In fact, I'm not sure I'm going to hit anything on this one. It's -7. Nothing's. This looks like a. That one almost hits it, but almost 9, almost 8. So anyway, I'll hit apply, and as you see, it didn't really do anything. So on this case, you know, if I didn't have this system where I just kept doing the same thing, I might change that to -10 or 12 and chop off those spikes. But for the sake of my simplified version that I promised, my process, I'll just continue. So now that I've normalized it, and then I've done the dynamics processing to compress, gently compress, and then I've done the limiter to chop off anything still sticking out. Now I'm going to normalize it again and bring it back up to that level that Audible wants. So SA and then N again for normalize. Leave it at my 3.2, and you see it made it all louder because it didn't have those spikes, so it was able to raise everything up louder a little bit again. And now all we have to do is test and see how it worked. So we'll hit scan selection here in our amplitude statistics. So find that somewhere in your menu. And the thing we need to watch for is this total RMS. We need to get it between 18 and 23. So I'm down at 26 point, I'm almost -27. That is too quiet, so I need to bring it back up. So see how I said these spikes get in the way? Let's get rid of some of those. So I'm just going to repeat my process. Alt S A Y, leave that where it is, hit enter, and see it knocked down those spikes. So and I'm just going to do a hard limiter again, S A H, because if any little thin spikes remaining, I might as well cut those off. And then it did a little bit. And now SAN to normalize it again and bring them back up. And you can see the whole thing overall got louder. So this -26.8 will definitely go up. So let's scan it again. We're just too loud. We're just too quiet. We need to be at -23, but we're a little below that. So let's do it again. SAY. SAH to catch those last spikes. And now SAN. And now it's definitely louder. It'll probably be around -21, I predict 20. Okay, so now it's in range between -18 and -20. So that's perfect. So now all I do is Alt F, and I'm just going to close this. And then so that'll prompt me to hit save and hit enter. Just save a few keystrokes because I've got 80 chapters plus the start and closing credits and stuff. So it helps to just make things fast. I hope that helps. Good luck on your audiobook, and maybe we'll see you here again at Film Shorties. I almost forgot to tell you one of my other favorite little tricks, hacks I got. So you'll see over here, I've got all my WAV files along with the PKFs, which just draws the image of the volumes there in Audition. And I've got them in a folder, and I ordered it upside down by date modified. So watch what happens. So I'll grab the next WAV file, drag it in, and then once I process it, I just close it. And then this is going to jump to the bottom of this folder because now it's the most recently modified, and the next one to modify is right there in place. So really convenient. And while I do my mastering, and then I will show you this in action so you can be impressed and save yourself some time and headache. Because let's be honest, you're at the end of your project, you're probably feeling kind of sick of it. So let's ease your way. Okay, so we got there between our -18 and -23 again, and now I'll just Alt FC, and then as soon as I hit enter to save this, watch over on the left, watch that AH chapter 53 down disappear. And there's my chapter 54, cuts like a knife, all ready to go. So I drag it in and continue. All right, now you know all my secrets. Well, all my useful ones for this stage at least. Good luck to you. Keep up the good creative work. I'm so sorry I lied to you. I have 2 more tricks. Actually, these aren't tricks. These are just information of what else you need to do. So once you've got your file all mastered in your WAV file, you want to do it in the WAV, don't save it to MP3 yet, because you want this highest quality, before you do that. So once that's all ready, the last 2 things you need to do to your file are you need to set it so it's got 1 second of room tone at the beginning, and then 3 to 4 seconds at the end. I'm not sure, that might be, maybe you can have a different, but that's what I took in my notes, what I was doing with my files. So you see here, I squished this down, so I've got 1 second increments between these green bars, and I've got a little over 2 seconds, so I'm just going to delete. I see I've got just a tiny bit of noise in this first part, so I'm going to delete that. And now it fits just inside that 1 second, so now I'll go to the end, and 1, 2, 3, about 4 seconds, so that's great, although I've got this little tick thing. Who knows what that is? Can't even hear it, but I'm going to delete it anyway. And now I've got that set, so I'll save it just in case I need to come back to this. And then the last step is save it as an MP3. So Alt F8, change this from WAV to MP3, save, and now it's good to go. So Alt FC, close it, and I'll go down to my next one and grab that WAV and the same thing. Zoom it down, so I've got 1 second increments there. Delete the right amount, so it's just 1 second of room tone. I could do just a little more there. Go to the end, 3 to 4. This one's just a little bit short, so I'm just going to copy some of the silence and paste it in. Now 1, 2, 3, 4. That's about right. So save, Alt F8. Oops, MP3 audio. Okay, and close, Alt FC. There, now I promise that's all I've got for you. All right, good luck, carry on.